Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at two important stories. First is, of course, with reference to Pakistan's fight against terrorism. And while we've, of course, spoken about this in much detail in terms of what actions Pakistan has taken in the past and continues to take in the future, in the evolving times, of course, in terms of the aftermath of the U.S. troop withdrawal in Afghanistan, the kind of safe havens that have been provided to terrorist organizations, in particular the TTP, that has increased its attacks in Pakistan over the last year. And so, according to a report, this is something that, of course, brings Pakistan to number 2 on the global terrorism index. And this is very, very unfortunate given the fact that Pakistan, of course, has fought and won the war on terrorism previously as well. And while, of course, its geopolitical position keeps it in the region next to Afghanistan, where, of course, this threat emanates from, and, of course, the terrorist organizations within the country also are serving the interests of the terrorist organizations. This is important, particularly in terms of what Pakistan needs to do both at home, in terms of the kinds of actions that have been taken as per the National Action Plan, combining, of course, both military and political forces together, and then, of course, in terms of our relationship with Afghanistan and the region, and, of course, the international community beyond that, including the US, as to what can possibly be done. We've just seen Mr. Trump praise Pakistan's efforts and assistance in arresting a terrorist that was involved in the Abbey Gate bombing. But of course, what needs to be done for Pakistan's perspective remains to be seen. So we'll take a broader look at the war against terrorism and, of course, where we stand today and how we move forward from there. Our next segment is going to be taking a look at what the Foreign Office has responded to in terms of the Indian Foreign Minister's remarks regarding the issue of illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And while, of course, lauding the steps that were earlier unilaterally taken by India back in 2019, he had also added that the problem will be solved once we are getting back the so-called stolen land, as per his words, from Pakistan. This is, of course, counter to the UN Security Council resolutions and the special status of the occupied valley, and, of course, also disrespects the right to self-determination of the people of Kashmir, for which they have been struggling for decades under Indian occupation. So we're going to be taking a look at what that means, and, of course, the Foreign Office's response in terms of this and the actions that need to be taken for this issue. That's going to be our focus in the second segment of the show today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by Senior Analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal. And we've also been joined online by Major General Retired Mr. Zahid. Mahmood, thank you very much, Zahid, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And I'll start with you in terms of how we take a look back at our war against terrorism. And while, of course, we've had some very, very successful operations, we've had consensus, and we brought forward the National Action Plan. And, of course, we were able to thwart the enemy. And we still have full confidence in the resolve and preparedness of our armed forces. But here we stand today in the aftermath of the U.S. troop withdrawal in Afghanistan, increase in terrorist activities, more than 1,000 incidents last year alone. And then, of course, the global terrorism index bringing Pakistan to number 2. And the fact that there is this constant threat emanating from Afghanistan and, of course, adding to the problems, particularly in KP and Balochistan. What does that mean then for our fight against terrorism today, and how it differs from what we did yesterday, and what can be done to resolve the current scenario and bring it at par with the kind of consensus that we need and that we have in rhetoric, which is, of course, zero tolerance for terrorism?
Thank you very much, Sana, for the invite, and my salam to Pitafi Saab and Raja Saab. I'm sure Raja Saab must be fresh after coffee, after Ramadan Iftar. Look, Sana, to be very honest, unfortunately today, we have to, let me begin with making this statement that we have to reset our course. The discourse on this and the course as well, the both, we need to reset. Because unfortunately today, the world which we are witnessing, again, we are at ground zero. I mean, we are at a situation, the entire international arena in this regard is at the same point from where this war on terror started. That I'm taking back to 1999 and 2000. What were the objectives of that war in Afghanistan? The first objective was dismantle Al-Qaeda. It has not been met. Then the objective was to remove Taliban from the power, so they are in power again. Then preventing Afghanistan from becoming a safe haven for terrorism. Again, it has become a safe haven for terrorism. So there were talks that war was waged to establish a stable Afghanistan, a stable governing system. So not a single objective of that war after 20 years, almost 25 years rather, we are standing at the same point. So 2021 withdrawal, people were hoping that this might, at least I had no doubt in my mind that this friction will continue, because this was and Trump has also accepted that this was a hasty withdrawal. This was the most embarrassing situation, embarrassing withdrawal for the United States of America. And he's talking about his domestic failures also and international failures also. So that's why I'm talking about all this, is that I want to set this point, a fundamental statement, that we have to reset our course, because the war on terror has not ended. We should learn from the past mistakes which we have made, serious mistakes, in terms of conducting the war, and in terms of establishing or addressing the socio-economic issues of this region and Pakistan, especially our belt with the Afghanistan, the border belt. So there is a need to reset the course, and we are at ground zero. We have to sit on the board, and again we have to carve a better strategy to eliminate this menace from Pakistan. Again, with Trump coming in with these two things which he has spoken about, one is the leftover weapons and ammunition, $7 billion. It means that there is a realization, and then this incident, this achievement of both the intelligence of both the countries apprehending this very important terrorist. This can set a new course. We can carve out our strategy while declaring the red lines for the state. So there is an opportunity for Pakistan. Let's see how we take advantage of this opportunity.
Right, absolutely. And Faisal, we've of course talked about this just yesterday also, with of course the attacks that we've seen in Khusdar and Banu most recently, and then of course the spike in terrorist activities over the last year. But I want your perspective then in terms of what that means for action that can be taken with regards to these safe havens in Afghanistan, while of course we are dealing with this threat in terms of these terrorist incidents. A lot of that, of course, also is something that is being supported by, and of course is part of the UN report as well, by these safe havens and the Afghan Taliban regime in Afghanistan. And that, of course, we have been engaging with for quite some time without success, unfortunately. So I want your perspective then on how we go about these safe havens in particular, and what are options for Pakistan.
Yes, and first of all, obviously, it's always an honor to share the screen with Zahid. And when it comes to, of course, the resolve he was proposing, I fully agree with. And of course, there were times that the whole world was in Afghanistan fighting against this menace. And here is Pakistan still continuing that fight. Rest of the world left Afghanistan, and Pakistan is still fighting. Why I say this, that furthermore, of course, in coming days, we have to be more prepared, because my sources, they are telling me that the people, ISIS Khorasan people, or people who were fighting for the ideology of ISIS or ideology of Al-Qaeda, they have been scattered in Iraq, they have been scattered in Syria, and after Al-Jolani has taken over Syria, many of them, they have been deterred from there, and many of them, they are IMU fighters, many of them, they are ETIM's fighters, and they are now being brought back into Afghanistan. And once they are getting back to Afghanistan, it means that the menace which we are talking about, it is going to increase. And whenever I think about war on terrorism, I always believe that the whole world, if it was fighting against the terrorism at that time, then they shouldn't have left Afghanistan like the mess they have left right now. If they ever were fighting against the terrorism, that terrorism still is continuously happening, and this needs to be fought against. Pakistan is still fighting against it, and of course, yesterday's statement from obviously Donald Trump, President Trump categorically highlighted that Pakistan is the front line against the terrorism, and Pakistan is still fighting against the terrorism, and Pakistan is still an ally against the menace which we keep on highlighting. When we talk about ISIS Khorasan, to me, ISIS Khorasan is going to be a monster in coming days, and this needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. And when resolve, we talk about the resolve, what Pakistan is doing about it. then of course last year was pivotal, because last year when we saw that there was an increase in number of attacks in Pakistan, of course the casualties back in 2023 there were more than 500, under 520, and if we talk about 2024, it was the worst year in terms of more than 1,000 casualties that taken place in Pakistan. And the kind of attacks we have been receiving from the other end, of course that was an enormous number, and that is why we are seeing that Pakistan is being placed in one of the countries that is of course worst hit in terms of terrorism. And that is an evidence that Pakistan's war is not over. Pakistan is continuously fighting that menace, and last year the kind of resolve we came up with of carpet bombing the provinces I always highlight, Nuristan, Nangarhar, Kunnad, Paktika, Paktia, all of these provinces that are next to Pakistan's border. Of course, Pakistan is having an influx of BLA, BLF, TTP, ISKP, all of them, they are of course carrying out their activities from within Afghanistan. They plan it there, their financing, be it India or whoever is financing them, they are financing them there, and the facilitation is taking place. And many of the Afghan immigrants who are refugees who are in Pakistan already, they are the ones who play a pivotal role in terms of facilitating all of these activities on ground. And if Pakistan is fighting against them, then of course last year we saw that March, April and December Pakistan conducted the air raids, and I think that's the best result towards it. And more of the drone attacks Pakistan must conduct, and wherever the IBOs are needed, I would rather say that Pakistan must do drone attacks, be it there is some collateral damage or whatever. One statement should be made, and that is that wherever we find them, we will act against them. It is on the civilians of that land, it is on the innocent people of that land, that they need to be cautious about it. Wherever they see these kind of people, stay away from them, because wherever they are found to Pakistan, Pakistan would do every possible act to secure itself, and to me, I think that's the way forward.
Right. And Farrukh, while we talk about what the U.S., of course, the role that the U.S. can play in this regard, we have, of course, seen Mr. Trump praise Pakistan, and you've spoken about just yesterday how he mentioned Pakistan as the only country. And, of course, that brings a lot of relevance to where Pakistan stands, particularly in the fight against terrorism. But what does that mean for the protection of people within our own homeland, and for the fact that we are located in this region, and that we have these threats emanating from Afghanistan, and that the U.S., of course, was involved in Afghanistan? Is there some sort of a responsibility or mechanism or angle that can be taken a look at in terms of the cooperation that can exist between the U.S. and Pakistan for the sake of Pakistanis?
Right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. I think that sometimes one feels that one is going through Groundhog Day, because these are repeatedly the same talking points one tries to actually go through. But I just wanted to, and by the way, my salam to General Saab as well. It is always a pleasure talking to him, listening to him as well. Regarding everything else, first of all, I want to actually congratulate Pakistani nation on this incredible gift of self-flagellation. Every time there is any kind of thing that is going on against Pakistan, or somehow there is an attempt to frame Pakistan, our media magnifies that, and in the end we also end up talking about it. Have you seen this index, by the way? We are next to Burkina Faso, and their next countries are also similar. Where does Afghanistan exist on the list, or for that matter Iraq or Syria or what not? They are far lower than us. Afghanistan is on number 9. So I was thinking, what exactly happened here? Why all of a sudden Pakistan has shot up, and Pakistan is being visible, so visible, right? Then I also saw another news item that there are countries which are unstable, and there is a executive order that was passed by US President on first day, that Muslim ban, or for that matter travel ban, if other countries are going to be included, which ones should be. And of course, given that India is going to be subjected to tariffs, and Pakistan was praised, So there are Indian lobbyists in America also. They must not be very happy that Pakistan is being praised. So why not actually highlight this thing, and given that you just actually nabbed a terrorist and handed it over. So connect all dots and then say Pakistan is an unstable country, ban it, ban Pakistanis from entering the US as well. And that is some kind of, remember we spoke about swamp. This swamp essentially manipulates and is creating a kind of excuse to once again corner Pakistan. And my beloved media, my beloved country will frame it and hang it on the wall and then attract all the attention towards it. But frankly, when it comes to President Donald Trump, one gift that he has got is the swamp has no hold on him. And he has actually said that he is going to dry up the swamp. So he will take care of such elements there. But what are we going to do? Because we have far bigger swamp and it doesn't seem to be actually going anywhere. We keep on, once again, self-flagellation, and we keep on attacking ourselves by actually, somehow mirroring the talking points that suits the, detractors of Pakistan. But the fact is that regardless of that, and by the way, I have very clear understanding of how things are going to unfold. And if Pakistan is going to be further cornered, India in the end is going to suffer. And you must have seen that there has been, this increase in terrorist activities since November particularly, when elections took place, and after that Indian lobby got uncertain. So Pakistan has to be actually presented as this broken place which should be contained and nobody should be taken care of. India, if Pakistan is cornered further, India is going to fall apart. It's a prediction. You can actually write it down. And that is something that will happen. It's interconnectedness of things, and any person that might be part of Indian swamp in Pakistan should be very, 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 very worried right now, because they don't know what is coming for them. Now, we fighting terrorism and whatever is happening in this country. Pakistan knows what to do. The only problem is that there are so many people who are actually serving the foreign interest either through terrorism. I mean, Afghanistan is a small country, Sana. Compared to Pakistan, it does not have any leeway, it does not have that kind of power. And then it also, the organization that keeps on harassing us is TTP, of course, which has become the deadliest organization in the world. That TTP also does not actually compute or compare to Pakistan's armed forces, our ability. Why do you think that they still get so much power and so much energy to keep on attacking us? Of course, some bigger bodies holding their hands, supporting. Afghan Taliban did not magically get all the weapons. There was some kind of manipulation at that time that the Americans actually leave everything for Afghan Taliban. And then Afghan Taliban support TTP so that Pakistan perpetually remains on the boil. There is some karmic justice to this kind of manipulation all over the world. For every big fish, there's even bigger fish. And while you can try to actually try to harm us, the smaller fish, the biggest fish is coming for you.
Right. Jaishankar, I want your perspective on this as well in terms of the ways that Pakistan is going to be tackling this threat at home, and the fact that, of course, we have these spoiler elements coming in from within the region, including India. There is a lot that Pakistan, of course, has to do on its own, irrespective of the kind of collaboration that can possibly exist. We have talked about state-sponsored terrorism. We have, of course, put forward OCS. But I want your perspective in terms of what that means when there's no actual consequence, and how do we actually bring that accountability back at home also, in terms of all the stakeholders that can possibly be involved in bringing the situation to where it is today, including, of course, the political elements that have been involved in the past.
I think it's a very pertinent question you have asked, Sana. And Raja Saab also hinted, and Pitafi Saab also hinted towards basically we have to establish the domestic peace first of all. The domestic, I mean, there is a lot of talk about this terrorism, and unfortunately, we always keep our discussions and considering our own petty political objectives. So we have to put our own house in order. Look, there are two things which have already been, which have to be set in. Number one is the political ownership of these operations or whatever strategy or political responsibility. The political ownership will have to be taken by the political leaders of Pakistan. Even today, once we talk about, we carry out a critique on, the resettlement which was done unfortunately during ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan's time, whether, people talk about that who was responsible. Nobody is taking responsible. Everybody is pushing their responsibility to others. Chief executive of the state is responsible for the application of every policy. His military commanders and his intelligence chief, if they are bypassing him or they are ignoring him, they are not, listening to him, then it is unfortunate. So once there will be a political consensus that we have to fight this war, we have to put our house in order, we have to create a political consensus that, look, this is our political objective. War is just instrument of a political objective, and we have to pursue it whether we are in a position or in power and whatever. So that has to be identified and set once for all. There shouldn't be any discussion on that, on such things in media and all over, that who was responsible, and whosoever is responsible for crafting a bad policy, they should be taken to the task. So there should be a strong accountability, because every day we are losing people. Secondly, uh, once we talk about even today, once we have handed over this terrorist to America, there's a domestic debate, a useless debate. My respect for the political leaders, but even the debate in the social media, why we have handed over. Nobody asking why this Afghani was on Pakistani soil. How could he enter this? Where is the responsibility of the interim setup? Nobody is questioning this. Everybody is, keeping themselves debating around this politics. This is not acceptable, and this will not take Pakistan to any, end objective. So we have to sit together. We have to carve out a strategy. We have to carve out our military strategy. And one important thing which I want to bring out after discussion and hearing from Raja Saab and Pitafi Saab, we have to create sana deterrence in kinetics, deterrence in politics, and deterrence in the foreign policy. Till that time, you will not create deterrence. These smaller states and even disorganized, disarrayed states like Afghanistan, they'll keep making fun of Pakistan. And we are not an ordinary nation. We have the resilience, we have everything. Every element of national power has to sit together and contribute towards achieving the political objectives and aims of Pakistan. Now, coming over to India and spoilers in this region, of course, we have the spoilers at the moment, but with the continuity of war, you will find more spoilers coming into it. Because this is a complete red syndicate, which is applying their policies on Pakistan, and then there is an Indo-Pacific, there is a tacit approval, all kinds of things. This is the opportunity for Pakistan. We have to make United States and West understand that we are at 1999, 2000, and this threat will harm you. There is a threat for them also, because everybody got their own interest. They left this area unattended, and today we have a president in the White House who has the understanding we must make full use of this opportunity, and this window will be available to us for a very, very short time. This we must understand.
Right, absolutely. And General Zahid, while we talk about that, I want your perspective on how exactly do we go about it. While we talk about what needs to be done and how we need to have all the stakeholders on board, and we've had the National Action Plan previously as part of the consensus that we had earlier. But in terms of actually having tangible actions taken in this direction, what can be done about it, and who's going to start that? Because we understand what should be done, and of course the institutions and the state, when it talks about zero tolerance against terrorist organizations, also understands what needs to be done. But how do we go about it?
Sana, look, I've made my point earlier as well, that political ownership of this strategy or the policy. It is the chief executive of Pakistan, the democratic forces of Pakistan, the federal government, and all the governments, including the opposition, all the stakeholders, political stakeholders, plus all the, religious stakeholders. and all the elders. We have a system in tribal systems, you know, the Jirga systems. So all encompassing, we must identify a policy. Sorry.
I understand, but
And
how
then
do we
follow.
align all these stakeholders together?
That's what I'm saying. That there should be a debate in the assembly. There should be, it should be visible to all the people of Pakistan. So people of Pakistan should understand who are contributing towards the security of Pakistan, who are contributing towards the achieving political objectives of Pakistan, and who are the spoilers. This is 21st century, Sana. You can't make fool people for a very long time. People exactly understand. Even I have heard few people in last 2 days who were talking, you know, such things which I can't even explain over here. They were doubting our own people, you know. They were calculating it. Look, there is an achievement of our intelligence agency. There is a cooperation, and this is a process which continues. You should be very proud of our intelligence agencies that they have done this operation. They have helped for the international peace. And today people are talking about this Pakistan. So nobody is, you know, people are interested in their own. I don't want to get into that political quagmire, you know. But we have to tell to the people, and every policy should be visible, and so people of Pakistan can understand, you know. We have the constitution. Then why, if we can't debate it in the parliament, why are we having this parliament? Then why are we having this government system, governing system? This is the biggest flaw in Afghanistan, because they don't have the governing system. We don't have a state where, I mean, application of the statecraft in that state. Statesmen are not running that country, you know. So this is a problem with Afghanistan, and we have every system in place. We must put all the systems into action. We have National Action Plan. We have Paigam-e-Pakistan. Every individual of Pakistan, every person of every part of the society there, you know, they have the consensus on these things. So we have to put them in action. And instead of petty politics and, you know, trying to pull down others, a small debate on the TV, wasting time on the TV, you know, even the social media domain, we have to fight it in the social media domain. A lot of this is a hybrid application. So all the elements, we need to understand the complete spectrum, and then we have to evolve a strategy. And it is the government of the Pakistan, the leaders of the Pakistan who are governing this country, because they are the representative of the state. So once the people have given them the authority and power, so there are representatives. They have to craft this strategy. Otherwise, we'll keep talking about all those things which are not that important for
Right.
Pakistan.
Absolutely. Farrukh, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you know, General Saab actually spoke about hybrid warfare, and I'm going to actually talk about that a little bit. But before that, your question, Sana, how to align the stakeholders. So Pakistan, and by the way, a good friend of mine, a lawmaker, Ayatollah Durrani, used to say something very interesting thing, that there are stakeholders and there are stakeholders. So stakeholders are not going to align on their own. You'll need stakeholders to be very committed. And given that now world order has changed very dramatically, we shouldn't have any problem in getting all our ducks in a row. But regarding hybrid warfare, and that actually goes back to what General Saab was saying, accountability is very important, Sana. And you have to see what happened and when. Your situation with terrorism and reversals in fighting terrorism also coincided with two other reversals, or as I call, creation of unsolvable paradoxes. And that is 2017 onwards to 2022. What happened on economy, we saw that Mian Nawaz Sharif's government was going fine. It was dragged down, and it was said that finance minister does not know anything. He was replaced by somebody who actually reversed the course. And we plunged. And after that, when he actually started balancing, he was removed. Then another finance minister came. Then he was pushed out. Then another came. Then he was pushed out. Whenever somebody went for semblance of balance or some kind of progress, they were pushed out. That is economic hitman for you. The second thing is political chaos. The way, you know, 2017 to 2022 was conducted, it was creation of a paradox where you cannot solve it. That everything remains in a gridlock, because then you keep on looking inside. And surprise, surprise, in the same time frame, we also threw away whatever progress we had made in war on terror. So the question is, of course, the Prime Minister of that time is important and he should be held accountable. But why not actually go for the accountability of big three? Big one and big three are already behind prison. So why not? Why are we skipping number two? Ask everybody and hold everybody accountable, because remember, if what I am saying is proven and there is incredible evidence, it actually might be a test case for Article 6, nothing less than that.
Right.
Sana,
Yes,
I
sir.
just wanted to add in something, how to, of course, implement that. When it comes to, of course, Pakistan, a country like Pakistan, two things should never be compromised, and them are, of course, our economy and our security. There are countries in the world, including the Western countries, where you can't simply, play your politics on anything. And of course, they have their, sensitivities as well. For Pakistan, security and economy, these two things, they should be declared sensitive by the constitution, so that all of the political parties, be they in the on the treasury benches or in the opposition benches, they must respect these two consensus, and they should not be playing politics on these.
Right. We're going to move on to our next segment now. And General Saab, I'll start with you with reference to what we've seen coming in from the Indian Foreign Minister's statements on Kashmir. And of course, this is something that has been responded to by the Foreign Office, of course, as baseless allegations, and the fact that India is the country that, of course, needs to back off. But in terms of the ways in which we have seen such rhetoric come in the past as well, in the ways that we've seen the actions of 2019, we've seen the demographic changes, the draconian laws, the fact that despite UN Security Council resolutions, nothing really has happened. And the basic right to self-determination, again, is being violated. And we have the Indian Foreign Minister blatantly talking about how that's the way the problem is going to be solved. So I want your perspective in terms of how then does Pakistan actually engage with this particular issue, both with India and the international community, in terms of providing the moral, political and diplomatic support that we have for the people of Kashmir.
Sana, we must understand that today Pakistan is facing in India with the Hindutva mindset India. This is a new India. We were in military, we were trained, we were equipped, and we war game how to tackle with the India, and with the changing policies of India, we were able to you can match them in all domains. But with this mindset, with the mindset which the Indian leadership now, which they have, we have to also change our mindset of the state. We exactly, you are unfortunately, it's very challenging to give answer to this question that which you have posed. How to but that's what we need to do, is that we have to create a new narrative, basing on the fundamental principles, basing on the fundamental requirements, and basing on the fundamentals. You can't deviate from whatever is happening. Unfortunately, during Musharraf time, I think we gave, unfortunately, Pakistan gave certain relaxations to India. That they have not. He was very sincere in his efforts, to solve this problem. And unfortunately, being a military man, probably might have trusted them that they are also serious about it, especially after the Vajpayee visit and all that. People, they were thinkers in Pakistan also were thinking that India is serious to solve this problem, but they were never. So this is kind of a, they were just, it was a charade visits and something like that. And probably we got little relaxed and on few things which gave them, encouragement. And then they followed up on this, and this with this BJP in power. They are, now they are in habit of testing the people also, at various forum. Now he was talking in London, probably in the Chatham House. They keep testing the response of Pakistan and international community. Till the time they have a role in the Indo-Pacific strategy, they will have a little tacit approval to whatever they are, But basically, we should stay attached with the fundamental Security Council resolutions. That is the legal framework which we have. Then we must, our national media and international media. Unfortunately, look, today in Pakistan, we have only, probably this is pity, world is the only English channel, and you want to convey to the world, you want to give a message to the world. Yesterday I was talking to some students in London. I was in a seminar. So once I narrated the whole story, what is happening in Afghanistan, how they are targeting Pakistan. There were seven questions. And before the questions, and once they were framing those questions, they were talking about the atrocities in Pakistan. So people are not aware what is happening in Pakistan. So we need to have serious campaign to give our perspective and to make the world understand our perspective, because now this whatever has happened, that is 77 years have passed. The new generation in all parts of the world, they are not aware of this Kashmir problem and all that. Then the Kashmiri leadership, the political and moral support which we were supposed to be giving them, that has gone a little low as well. Then our governments in Kashmir, there's a lot of politics have got involved. So we should be having a very strong government in Kashmir, and the people of Kashmir should take their cases to the different part of the world. Then we have to create alliances. To be very honest, we must this Islamophobia and what is happening in Palestine, whatever is happening in in Syria and all Arab world, what is happening in Kashmir, that has to be highlighted. The only point once we go and highlight is the speech in the United Nations. And then we have to create certain stakes for the world also. This is a serious region. This is a flashpoint. This is a nuclear flashpoint. We have to make understand, and very strongly we should convey this message to the world that Kashmir is our core issue. Without Kashmir, Pakistan is not complete, and for Kashmir, we will go to any extent in any domain. We have to make the whole world concerned about this region. So this is kind of a Indians are very smart in this, so they are doing a lot in this, and we have to do a lot. And that again a whole of a nation approach, and again we have to create coalitions. We have to speak about these things much more.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, and Zahid, for joining us and being a part of the discussion in the debate. And Faisal, I'll come back to you with reference to when we speak about the issue of Kashmir, and we speak about, of course, Pakistan highlighting this front. We've always responded to this rhetoric, but how much of that is actually being taken internationally in the ways that we see that coming out from India?
Yes, it is being taken in a way. Obviously, European Union obviously endorses Pakistan's stance, and of course, Azad Jammu and Kashmir stance, and they take.
No, I meant the rhetoric coming out of India.
Coming out, I think they would not be taking it seriously. If anyone in the sane mind related to the geopolitical prism, I think they will understand this, that Modi is sustaining his premiership for the last time, and there are many nincompoops within the BJP who are eyeing upon the premier seat, and one of them, of course, is Jaishankar, who believes that he can turn out to be another Manmohan Singh of India and for BJP, and that is why we are seeing all of these, yogis and Amit Shahs and Rajnath Singh and then Jaishankar, all of them, they are eyeing upon the premier seat. And when it comes to the realities, I don't think that a person like Jaishankar, who's had a fantastic life in terms of diplomacy, he would be unaware of this fact that India was the very country that actually went to United Nations for the resolve, and the resolution 47 was passed by United Nations, and over that, of course, a mechanism was proposed by obviously, General McNaughton, and then later on, obviously Dixon, he gave a resolve which was not accepted by India itself. And what did they say? They said the only resolve for Kashmir is plebiscite, and you have to pull out the armies. Pakistan accepted it. Pakistan said, yes, we will be pulling out. Then India has to pull out as well. India did not do it. And India only endorsed a plebiscite that can be held under the security provided by the Indian military, because they wanted to, of course, manipulate that. They wanted to have a sort of a fear imposed in Kashmir while plebiscite is being carried out. And that is why, this is the very India that took it there. Then resolution 47 is an evidence for the whole world that it is there. People who understand the conflict of Kashmir, they very well know who's at wrong, and that is why I think they will understand that whatever's these kind of statements are coming, they are just coming for one reason: somebody wants to be prime minister.
Right. Farrukh, you want to add something to that?
Exact opposite of that. You know, BJP is not Congress that would actually promote a technocrat to its premier's position, right? Jaishankar is not in the running for premiership, and by the way, he's a technocrat. He's a very good professional. Unfortunately, we all make compromises in life. He sold his soul to BJP, and that's why at this moment he has to actually keep up the appearances, right? Regarding overall situation, India is not at a very good place. By the way, but the difference between Congress and BJP is also Hindutva is not an ideology, Sana. Hindutva is an electoral strategy, and that is to actually appeal to the majoritarian sentiment and make them feel that they are marginalized so that they keep on electing you. So, do you think that a technocrat can actually rile up that base? No, that is not going to happen. Even Rajnath Singh is not a contender. I give you Yogi and I give you Amit Shah, a couple of others also. But at this moment, what is happening? And by the way, I have actually started liking, compared to all those who are in the run, I have started liking Modi. Why? Now he is a known quantity. This time, because they are in such a bad place right now after the elections of Donald Trump, that forget about Adani. You know, Ambani was the last big billionaire from India who actually had a selfie with Donald Trump. So Modi ji, a couple of days ago, spent the whole day photographing at animal sanctuary of Ambani's son.
Yeah.
So you understand what kind of place they are at. So naturally, all these using swamp to actually highlight Pakistan being a terror place and similar kind of things, or suggesting Pakistan is going to be banned, or then this kind of statement is only a placebo till the time they find a way inside the new power equation. So I wouldn't take these statements seriously. I think that regardless of that, I don't think that we should be calling India's foreign minister names. He had to do whatever he had to do because they have to appeal to a base, nothing beyond that.
Right. Thank you, Farrukh, and thank you, Faisal, for joining us in the debate. As always, that's all that we have time for. We'll now see you tomorrow.